lanthanum for a minute.
Let's do it.
This is like our little, like I was gonna write this up as an article, but I was like, where am I gonna put this?
Put it on Reef Beef.
So I'll put it on Reef Beef and then have AI transcribe it, and then I'll make it an article and won't take me any time, and then I'll sell it to somebody.
There. Now we're cooking with grease.
So the idea of lanthanum chloride is this: and I'm not going to get super technical because no one actually cares, right? You drip this solution into the water, and it binds instantly with the phosphate in the water, and then you need to get that flocculant out of the water because it could do bad things, whatever those bad things are. If you put too much lanthanum into the water at once, you put in more lanthanum than it can react with the phosphate, and then it's looking for all kinds of things to react with. And it can react with fish gills, it can react with your pump parts, clogging them up. It can react to the glass or the acrylic of your tank. You won't be able to get it off. So you don't want to do that. So when lanthanum is used in public aquaria, it gets dosed into the sand filters. And so it gets mechanically filtered out. So when people started doing it in home tanks, they were putting it into 10 micron socks, right? Because you want to filter it out. But people are still overdosing it. So they're putting in too much, and it clogs the sock faster because you don't have the turnover going through the sock to keep bringing more phosphate laden water into the sock because there's passive flow through the sock, right? So I'm sure I'm not the first person to do it, but I was like, why don't we do it in the skimmer? Will the skimmer, export the flocculant? And I talked to Biggerman, Craig Bingman, our good friend, and he said that should work. Try it and let me know what happens. I was like, cool. So that's what started that whole long process.
Did he giggle right after he told you that?
Yeah, he went. If you don't know Craig, that's how he laughs.
Yeah.
You do it better. You do it better.
Like the little, what's that? Those little muffins.
Oh, the Stay Puft Man? The Poppin' Fresh.
Yeah, they squish his belly.
Wait,
let's do it. I'm Craig Bingman.
Hey, Craig, what do you think about dripping lanthanum into the skimmer to export the flocculant? You think that would work?
Well, you could try it.
I always wonder, did that little man who gets poked, does he give consent to be poked like that, or is
why it's not on the air anymore? Because he took him to court, and he was like that whole time he didn't want his belly pressed.
So this won't be in the article.
AI bot, exert this.
Exert this?
Excerpt.
Excerpt?
Excerpt. That's my new, I think, excerpt. That's not a thing.
It is in Texas.
It is. Excerpt. Well, if I was you, I'd excerpt it.
So Bigman says do it, and it works. I can see a difference in the skim mate, in the foam head. It holds together a lot more when it's doing lanthanum.
And you don't have you never have issues with the impeller and
here's the key, right? So here's the deal. Here's what you really need to think of. Actually, before that, no, I'll get to the other part. You want to be dosing as much lanthanum into the water volume that can react with the phosphate that's in that water volume. If you are putting more in, you're going to have a bad time. That's when you're going to have stuff, on the pumps. And so I recommend you start really low levels of lanthanum, watch your phosphate, also decide why you're bringing your phosphate down in the first place, right? You probably don't need to, or you may not need to.
Don't bring it down quickly.
And don't bring it down quickly. So you bring it, you ramp it up slowly and watch how it's being affected, what the results are, and you adjust accordingly. And you should be having all of the reaction happening within the skimmer body, and then all of that being exported, right?
And a terrible thing to do would be to dose lanthanum chloride, but not be testing phosphate.
Yeah. Now, absolutely. If you're, otherwise you don't know what it's doing.
Yeah.
Um, some people like to use lanthanum as a hammer. I know our friend Mark Levinson uses one of the products and he doses it once in a while and knocks the phosphate back, and then it stays down for a while, and then he hits it with like a hammer again. That
Hmm.
makes me super nervous for a couple of reasons. A bunch of reasons. One, seems easy to overdo it, and two, I want stability. I don't want it going up and down. And
That's
with
what I
the
was going to say.
with the price
Stability.
of with the price of dosing pumps, you can get a standalone dosing pump. I'm only on my 500 gallons that I've got going. I'm only dosing 60, 80 mils a day, spread out over the whole day. It's not like 60 mils. It's, you want it to spread out because you want the water to be moving through the skimmer. So every time lanthanum is dosed, it is getting water that has phosphate in it, right? And I just drilled a hole through the top of the skimmer and ran a rigid tubing all the way down into the body of the skimmer.
Does that make your skimmate like milky?
No, it makes it a little bit drier. I mean, it holds together a little bit more.
I wonder
Um,
if it actually makes the skimmer work better
I don't know. I don't know
by
if
just
I
making a
keep
more stable, dry foam.
if I if I keep it clean, the skimmate doesn't seem as dirty, right? If I let it get dirty, the goo, the skimmate
Yeah.
toothpaste happens.
Yeah.
Um,
The clogged artery.
and I see a lot of people that's right. Oh, I like that. That's the plaque, the skim
The plaque.
plaque.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's exactly what it is. Um, Ew, it's so gross though. But
LDL. LDL skimmate.
it feels so good in your hand.
Really? I
Um,
rub it on my body. That was awkward. That had a hard time getting out of my mouth.
is that what makes that's
That's
what
what's wrong with me.
do you rub it on your hair? It's what makes your hair so
Yeah.
luxurious.
Yeah. It stays.
I see a lot of people have problems with lanthanum when they use it like a hammer, either through the skimmer or otherwise. I think doing it through a sock just is more work than anybody really wants to do. And for
Hmm.
60 bucks, you can dose 24 times a day, little bit, little bit, little bit into the skimmer, and you don't have to worry about nothing. So that don't use it like my Rich's recommendations is
Richard.
don't use it like a hammer and go slow.
I have a binway that I would, man, when I think about, and no disrespect to you, I'm just saying, I sort of imagine you just took a drill and zzz, and drilled right through the top of your head and then just, yeah, and just like chunked a line in there.
Yeah, because it was like, what's the easiest way to do this? This won't compromise the skimmer. If it's great, I'll go back and do it another way, which I've never done. So let's hear
Let me do that when I come see you next.
what's your way?
So you take one of those quarter-inch bulkheads,
Yeah.
the little bulkhead that can, you can get John Guest fittings on, and use a stepper drill bit, drill out the center there so it accepts the little bulkhead, and then put a John Guest 90-degree barbed elbow, and then, or wait, what are you feeding it through? Like a dosing, just some silicone tubing.
What are you talking about?
The
Oh, yeah, it could be any tubing. It's RO tubing.
Okay, well then you could just use the push to connect. It'd just
In
be a good, solid way to do it.
in the skimmer lid?
Yeah, it's in the middle of the skimmer lid.
No, that's the worst idea I've ever heard ever.
Why?
Yeah, that's a terrible, terrible. I'm ashamed
So
of oh, it,
this show is over.
it is no. But
Why?
this is like green Eheim tubing bad. Um,
Heavens to Murgatroyd, explain yourself.
okay. Number one, you need to be able to get the skimmer lid off, right?
You can
And
still do that.
and if you have to undo a fucking John Guest fitting every time you want to get the skimmer lid off, you're gonna hate yourself, right? Number two, that's right in the middle of where all the skimmate comes up. It's just a nucleation site for the skimmate toothpaste. It's
Uh-huh.
just going to become disgusting over and over again.
What? How are you squishing it in there?
I just lay it in there.
No, wait. How do you getting lanthanum inside of the skimmer?
A tube goes through a hole in the top,
Yeah.
connects to a piece of rigid tubing that goes into the body of the skimmer.
I don't know. That's not that much different than what I said. Maybe you're
Oh, but
misunderstanding.
I can just pull a thing out and it's super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a place for goo. This is what we got to do. Got to put a bulkhead either through the cone neck of the skimmer or through the side of the skimmer.
That's a little dicey, but
Well,
they,
that you
they
see why I
made, I
don't
don't
do
know
it.
that they make them, but you know those uniseals? What if they made a little baby
They
uniseal?
do make a little baby uniseal.
They do?
Yeah,
My God.
yeah, but it would also be very easy. My skimmer is PVC, so
They make a 1/4 inch uniseal?
I believe they do.
Well, I'll be darn tootin'.
You want me to look it up right now? Because you're
Right now, stop the broadcast. You're looking at me like, what? I didn't know they made a little, like you could pass RO tubing through. Little,
1/4 inch uniseal,
how cute. Does it have diapers on it?
73 cents.
Really? But now with the tariffs, $73.
Or you could get it at Amazon for $7.50.
Yes.
But I'm sure
No, wait.
I'm
Bezos
sure.
backed out.
Wow, that is a tiny, tiny unisail.
Dude, I had no idea.
It says one
That's
quarter
it.
inch.
When we're done recording here, I'm gonna go find some little baby uniseals. I wonder what the hole you had to drill for that is.
Hole saw size 1/2.
That is so cute. I believe a stepper bit. Yeah, a stepper bit would do that.
Yeah,
You can stepper bit into the side and then.
sure.
So-
Or you just step a bit into the side and put an elbow all the way up and run the line down. So that would be the safest way to do it. So you'd
Yeah.
never actually have to touch anything.
That's true.
But but it works. As we know, because my shit's under the house, if it works, just leave it. All right, that's enough about lanthanum.
Yeah. Get
Yeah.
out of here, lanthanum.
Yeah. Did it just